Welcome back to Third Phase of Moon. Blake Cousins, we got a special report for you today. UFO End Game, the documentary that has made #1 on iTunes and #2 on Amazon Prime. Our documentary in regards to disclosure is making waves across all streaming platforms. And today, we've got one of the special guests in the documentary UFO End Game to Disclosure, Billy Carson from Forbidden Knowledge. We're going to be going over some of the things that are going on in today's world in regards to ufology and what's coming up next this year. So let's bring in Billy Carson from Forbidden Knowledge. Welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you. Glad to be back on your show.
Hey, Billy, it's crazy. We just released this documentary, UFO End Game, on all streaming services. It's just surged to #1 and 2 on Amazon and iTunes. Congratulations, and we're all part of it. This is what the world needs. Appreciate you joining us. What do you think is the end game to disclosure?
Well, the end game to disclosure is exactly what you and I are both doing, trying to bring the disclosure to the world ourselves, opening up enough eyes and hearts to where it gets to the point where people in positions of power will begin to realize, like, hey, we need to truthfully release this information. It's kind of infiltrating the system from the inside out. Eventually, more and more conscious people that are interested in the truth, people are interested in dispensing the truth to the world, will eventually gain those specific positions of power where they can press a button and release information to the world. So we're looking at a situation where we're softening up the blow. And eventually, I really truthfully do believe that there will be people that infiltrate from the inside out that will, be really on our side, and then will help us, get the true disclosure to the world. Whereas on the quote unquote mainstream will say, yes, these are real. This is happening. It's been happening for a very long time. We have been trying to cover it up, but no more. We're moving forward. And I do believe that I'll be alive when that day happens.
Absolutely. I think it's right around the corner. Something's about to happen. We got congressmen speaking about it. Tim Burchett just hinted that there's going to be some more Congress hearings in regards to the phenomenon. So this is kind of good news. People are waking up, and some of the information is so sensitive, it's hard to get it out on these platforms. But right now, Amazon and iTunes seem to put it on the front line. So this is good news for disclosure and for people that are trying to find out the truth. Now, what's amazing as well is there's been so much talk about these UFOs getting shot out of the sky, the balloon debacle. What do you make of this? Is this some kind of preparation for engagement with the unknown?
I think it's a preparation for engagement, also a test of different types of technologies. There must have been some type of strange anomaly that happened over the northern seaboard, or maybe over the borderline between Alaska and the United States and Canada at some point, because all of a sudden you've got interest from China, from Russia, and of course from ourselves, sending these balloons over, these super massive mega balloons. But also then you have these other objects that show up later that get shot down that were not balloons, that were objects that didn't have a tail, didn't have wings, didn't have a cockpit or a fuselage, and didn't even have pilots. So could those be possibly things that we are testing out, different types of technologies, and then we blow those out of the sky as well? It could be the beginnings of the whole process of, kind of really creating this space false flag, where these things could potentially be a threat to our national security. And when we see these threats, we're going to take care of them almost as if we really have the capability of shooting these things out of the sky. I mean, come on. They can outmaneuver us whenever they want, the real ones. And so for us to be able to show the public that, we can just take one out with an F-22, I seriously doubt it. But I think they're prepping the consciousness of the people so they can continue to move money into the Space Force, because there's no more wars to fight here on this planet. We fought all the wars. We brought democracy to all the countries and stole all their resources and put the puppet dictators in. The next big move is space. And so we'll see that there'll be a lot of agitation and threat coming from space, so that the people will be in full collusion with them, transferring trillions of dollars into that industry, which is where they make a lot of money.
Absolutely. It's all about the money. Follow the money in regards to the government and the technology being suppressed. Let's take a quick look. We've got Dr. Stephen Greer, we got Michael Schratt, James C. Goodall, and John D'Souza, including yourself, in UFO End Game to Disclosure, available worldwide. Let's take a close look at this exclusive clip from UFO End Game. Check it out.
Recently, the commander of NORAD actually stated that they have no evidence of UFOs or aliens. And he was kind of really being sarcastic. They have a lot of evidence of UFOs and aliens because information has been being released and declassified for decades, including the new ATIP documents. What he really is saying is, we have information about UAPs and UFOs, but we don't want to share it with you. And we're not going to actually openly claim that these are actual alien craft or spacecraft that are not created by us, because if we do that, and we're the ones in control of protecting airspace over the world, then we look like we're inadequate and we can't do our jobs. So that's why they do this. They do this to give the citizens of the world a false sense of protection or security that they do have control and they can protect us, when in actuality, they cannot control these beings whatsoever.
So, it is something that we need to get to the bottom of. And are we going to get the answers? You're saying just earlier that you think it's going to happen within our lifetime. What's interesting to me is what's going on right now in the major news. Just earlier this week, Lester Holt from NBC News, he's talking to Avi Loeb, and now he's part of the Pentagon, and they're insinuating that there's a mothership in our solar system heading this way. What kind of propaganda is this?
That's interesting. The fact that they would come out and put that out and release it on mainstream news was kind of shocking, because I accidentally scrolled across it on my feed on Twitter, and I said, Fox News, Pentagon mothership, sending out drones or something. I'm like, what in the world? So again, could it be that there is one? I believe there are giant motherships out there. The fact that they would begin to release it through the mainstream makes me also want to question, is it truthfully one, or is this going to be labeled as a threat? If they go with the threat angle, then I tend to believe that it's actually not real. If they go with the non-threat angle, then I tend to want to believe it's real.
Do you think it's possible that the major media and the Pentagon are going to come forth with evidence saying these beings from another solar system are visiting us and there's no threat base whatsoever? You think that day will ever come?
That day will come when we get the real true disclosure. I don't think it's going to happen tomorrow, but like I said, more and more people are coming to our side. Like, for example, the executives at Netflix and Amazon, they're putting this documentary that we made up front. Like, it's, hey guys, you need to watch this, and it became #1. And so again, that's an example of us being able to infiltrate mainstream from the inside out. That's also going to eventually happen in government. It's going to happen in military. It's going to happen in all industries, in private space. And eventually we'll get to a point where there's enough people on our side that the information will be openly and freely released.
Absolutely. They need to release this. And, there's these documents that have yet to be put forward to the public, but there are some things coming up in the future that seems that there's going to be light put on this whole aspect of this cover up, because right now they only want to deal with what happened with the Nimitz, anything after 2000, I think 7, or anything beyond that. They don't want to go deep back into the history of the cover up and some of these encounters with military and crash retrievals and reverse engineering. Where do you think the reverse engineering at this point is, or as far as just technology in general, as humankind, the species, how far advanced are we that they're kind of keeping secret due to national security reasons, military strategy?
Yeah. Well, I really think that they're supremely ahead of us. One of the things I own is a tech company called First Class Space, FCSA. It's a corporation in the state of Florida. It's a space agency, a registered space agency with NASA and the European Space Agency. And what we do is R&D, research and development. But through that, I've been able to get access to space symposiums and private meetings and meetings in private space, even with TS or top secret clearance to private space. And what you find in these meetings, what I can tell you is this: they're about 300 years ahead of us right now, technologically. And so pretty much whatever you can think of or dream up in your mind has already been accomplished, or at least tested in an actual laboratory to some level of success. So they're far, far more advanced than we can even imagine. And a lot of these suppressed technologies are just sitting there on the shelf waiting to be utilized sometime in the future. Kind of similar to the SR-71 Blackbird, which was built in the 1960s. And nobody really found out about it until like the 80s. It was like, what is this SR-71 Blackbird? This thing is amazing. 4 times the speed of sound and all this kind of crazy stuff it was capable of doing, flying at the edge of space. But we had that in the 1960s. So just project your mind to the future now. 100 years ago, we were in a horse, buggy, and carriage. 100 years later, we're putting remote control cars on Mars, and we have probes that have left the Oort cloud and are in intergalactic space. So we're really, really, really cutting edge. It's just that the main society, mainstream society and the civilization, we just haven't been put aware of it. So we're thinking that, iPhones and smartphones and laptops are the highest level we have, and some propel chemical rocket fuel rockets to go to the moon and into space to launch satellites. That's all we've got, but there's so much more.
It's pretty interesting due to the fact that AI is just among us right now. It's like it's exploding. Everybody's talking about the AI and what's available to us right now and the no regulations behind it. Even Ben Rich from Lockheed Skunk Works told our friend James C. Goodall that Jim Goodall that we have the ability to take ET home. So there's this technology that we can't prove it. We can't prove it physically. Here's the machine. Here's the device that gives us free energy. But for some reason, I just believe it. I think a lot of people out there believe it. A lot of whistleblowers believe it, and they're ready to come forward with this immunity that DC has given, written into law. So we'll see how that transpires. Let's just take another look at UFO End Game to Disclosure and take a look at this exclusive clip with Billy Carson from Forbidden Knowledge. Watch this.
If the world was able to see exactly what was going on behind the veil with these black budget, top secret projects, these secret space programs that do exist that are being run out of private corporations, they'd be blown away. First and foremost, the reason why they're using private corporations is because then they can avoid the Freedom of Information Act. Because with that FOIA, they can actually then release all the information to the public, even if it's redacted. But through private corporations, now they can hide everything. They can cover everything up. And what happens behind the scenes is advanced technology that's 300 years ahead of what the general population is at right now. So whatever you can think of has already happened. Whatever you can possibly even conceive already exists. That's how far advanced they are. But by keeping these things locked up in black budget programs and using them for top secret military projects, the general population is only going to get this information one slight trickle at a time.
It's fun to collaborate with people that are in this field all in, and they've studied this for decades, pretty much their lifetime. And to have you part of this documentary, it's our pleasure to have you on there, and appreciate you putting your time and effort into this subject matter. I know you've got some important things coming up in the future. What is it? You have Forbidden Conscious Awards coming up in Miami. Go ahead. What's this all about?
Yeah, I decided that, people like yourself and Dr. Stephen Greer and many, many others who have been dedicating their life and all their money too, to help bring disclosure to the world, and not just in UFOs and aliens and aerospace, but also in other areas like podcasting, radio host, directors, producers, entrepreneurs, health and wellness, authors, space anomaly hunters. And so I decided to create a Forbidden Conscious Awards, where it will be on the level of the Oscars, on the level of the Grammys or the Emmys. It's a black tie affair in Miami at the Adrian Arts Center, one of the most beautiful theaters in the world. It rivals the Sydney Opera House, and it's down in Miami. It's brand new. It's built right next to the Miami Heat Arena down there on South Beach. An amazing venue that hosts thousands of people, and we're going to have people coming in from all over the world. And the most beautiful thing is the fans get to vote for the winners. People can vote right now by going to forbiddenknowledge.com with the number 4, and they can pick multiple winners in multiple categories, or multiple nominees, I should say, in multiple categories. Once we count all the nominees up and we get the top 3 nominees in each of the 11 categories and a 12th category for a Lifetime Achievement Award, we'll then have a second vote that goes in, and people will get a chance to pick the winners out of those 3 categories. And we're going to fly everyone in first class, picked up in limos, 5-star hotel, all their meals will be covered and everything else. And we're going to have an amazing award show, and the trophies are mind-blowing. 10-pound, 10-foot tall, 10-inch tall, and 10 foot would be big. 10-pound, 10-inch tall pyramids. They're clear quartz crystal pyramids. They're magnificent, etched with the winner's name and the title and what they won. It's going to be a magnificent night, red carpet event, and even the mainstream media will be there. And we're also giving away an Audi A4 to someone in the audience that night. Their ticket is their free entry to be a winner of the Audi A4. So it's going to be a great night. We're looking forward to it. We want to set the stage for something new.
Man, that sounds incredible. And nothing against Emmys and academies, but it wouldn't take much to beat what's going on in that situation right now. But wow, look at this ballroom. I think we're looking at some footage from what you shared with us at this grand ballroom and what to expect at the event. This seems something that's kind of missing in this field, because there's a lot of people that are working behind the scenes, in front of the scenes, that really don't get the recognition that they deserve. People are putting their whole life into this subject matter, trying to get disclosure, and people should be awarded and maybe have a celebration in regards to it. So this is exciting stuff that's coming up. Wow.
Thank you. And you guys, Third Phase of Moon has a lot of votes already. So continue to tell people to go to forbiddenknowledge.com and vote for you. Voting is free, doesn't cost any money. And it looks like, if we ended it today, you would be one of the nominees for sure, which is amazing.
Wow. That's exciting stuff, guys. If you're watching, the link is below. Give them tell them Third Phase of Moon sent you. Well, this is exciting stuff. We look forward to coming to that event. We're running short. We got a lot of stuff on the table. This UFO End Game is blowing up across all streaming platforms. Let's take one quick look at UFO End Game, the trailer, right now.
It's a mind-blowing situation. For the public, it's like, a conspiracy theory, it's entertaining. But if you're actually in a responsible position and you find out that there's a whole secret government program that you don't know about, it's a shock.
This report comes from a shadowy Pentagon department that was shut down in 2012.
The disclosure movement has been hijacked by people parroting the narrative and the script being written by these black projects. I would say 90+% of everything that's going to come out is false.
The most widely seen UFO right now is not alien, it's actually ours.
It's a great cover story for all kinds of criminal activities. Blame it on the aliens, right?
If we are being visited by interdimensional beings, we should know about it.
This has the big disadvantage of the truth being much more unbelievable than the fiction.
It's the crash retrievals that are the Rosetta Stone for solving the UFO cover-up.
The implications of this is the difference between extinction level civilization versus one that's going to take off to the stars.
So it's up to us, it's up to the people to get disclosure. And if we could get it, the world will change overnight. And that's what we need. We need to get to the bottom of this. And this cosmic Watergate has to be blown wide open. And I'm sure there's reasons for keeping disclosure the way it is. What do you think the main reason they want to keep it suppressed from the public?
Right now, there's a few reasons. Number one, if they keep it suppressed, they can control the technology. Controlling technology means controlling the financial resources of an entire planet. Because when you take the technology and you hoard it and you spoon feed pieces of it to the people, right? Like you release a little bit of fiber optics here, maybe you drop some microchips out here, little by little, you allowing our civilization to advance at a very drip drop pace. You can control the flow of money and also the flow of jobs, and you can control as well, which is huge, which means you have a complete lockdown on the whole planet. But once you free that up, it then opens everyone up to be able to access this information, access the technologies that could potentially free up third world countries, give people simple things like water and electricity, making them almost equals. And so they don't want that. As long as the majority of the planet is less than equal and fully suppressed, then the people, the powers that be, have supreme control and a boot on the neck of the planet as they dribble drab little by little pieces of technologies out and allow us to advance at a much slower pace. So they eventually, we have to realize as the people on this planet, there's 8 billion of us and we're being controlled by 100 families. At some point, we have to realize, forget the divide and conquer, forget our differences. We have to come together and unite. And together, we all need to stand up and do just one simple thing. Just stop participating in their game. And once we stop participating, game over. We've already proved it could happen through the whole situation that happened with the global sickness. The whole world shut down. And guess what? It reopened again and everything is still fine. So we proved that that was under force. But imagine if we negotiated that ourselves and just shut down everything. And then we renegotiate the deal that we want as a people on the planet, not just for one specific race or country or flag, but global change for the entire planet as a whole.
Well said, Billy. I know you're busy. You're in Arizona, Sedona, one of the most beautiful places in the United States. They call it the chakra of the United States. I know you're doing some speaking venues over there. Appreciate you spending some time giving us your insight into this, and appreciate you again for helping us out on this UFO End Game to Disclosure documentary, available worldwide on all streaming platforms. Billy, you be safe, and let's keep in touch.
All right, man. Peace.
And appreciate it. Guys, that's Billy Carson, Forbidden Knowledge. We're going to be supplying the original link in the description. Reach out to him, check out his social media, and don't forget the awards coming up. Forbidden Conscious Awards Miami this year. Guys, be safe out there, and if you've captured anything amazing, submit it to us right here at Third Phase of Moon. Upload that video to YouTube, copy paste it to my email. If it's good enough, we'll share it to the world. Blake Cousins, keep your eyes on the skies. We'll see ya next time.